This week it's the turn of this Skoda Fabia, which has sustained a nasty dent over the front wheel arch. Having this repaired in a body shop would be very expensive, but I'm going to show you the full repair method of how I fix this using the paintless dent removal method. So stay tuned and watch all the stages involved in removing damage like this with no filler and no paint.
Hi everyone, it's Jake Quintin from Dents with another repair video showing you the advantages of paintless dent removal. And today this video is sponsored by Skillshare, but more about that later in the video. As you can see, we have a Skoda Fabia which has sustained a nasty dent right on the body line of this front wheel arch. Now this was the result of another vehicle brushing up against this panel and leaving all the damage that you can see here. Unfortunately, when something brushes up against the side of a vehicle, it never leaves a straightforward dent, especially when it hits a strong body line. It tends to leave a mixture of dents and creases. But luckily, in the case of this vehicle, no paint was damaged from the impact. So the paintless dent removal process can be the perfect solution to repair damage like this. But before we get started on this repair, let's first take a detailed look at all the damage.
Firstly, I've checked this panel with a magnet and I know it's made from steel. Now, taking in consideration the different elements of this repair, the total size of this damage covers an area of approximately 256mm by 165mm. The wheel arch profile shown here gives this area of the panel its strength and rigidity, and both of these have been displaced from the impact. The top profile has been displaced about 20mm. Taking a look at the front of this panel, we can also see that on top of the body line going towards the front of the vehicle, we have this crease, which on its own is around 112mm long. As with nearly all dents and the nature of the metal, we have some high ridges on the panel, which are shown here in red. This is where the metal has been displaced from the impacts, flowing out to form these ridges we call crowns. From what I can see, this looks like an original factory painted panel, so I do have the option of using glue pulling if needed. Although on most of these front wings or fenders, the access behind is pretty good, so I'll probably just use PDR bars. Right, so that's what I'm up against. Time now to get started. So to get behind this panel, I need to loosen the stone guard, otherwise known as the wing liner. So using the jack, I raise the vehicle up, which gives me some clearance between the tyre and the panel. To remove the screws underneath, I need to use a T25 Torx bit. One by one I can remove the screws which fix this plastic part to this panel. There are usually 5 or 6 of these screws dotted around the perimeter of the panel. Sometimes they can be difficult to find as they may be covered in all the mud and dirt underneath. This plastic part can then be pulled away from the main panel. I only need a small gap for my tools, so the complete liner doesn't need to be removed, and I'll be levering off the tyre so the liner will be well out of the way so it won't get damaged. Now I can lower the vehicle back on the floor to get started. I'm putting the umbrella up today as the weather is constantly changing and at the moment it's slightly raining. So here's a quick recap of everything that needs to be pushed up. The first tool of choice is this double bend tool, and I'm starting with the large rubber tip. But first, before I start pushing this metal out, I just need to heat the panel so that the paint remains flexible and won't crack. Sliding the bar underneath, I'm just feeling around for the tightest areas in this damage, as these sections will need to be pushed up first. So using this 24-inch bar, I'm struggling a bit to get strong enough leverage as the metal is quite tight, so I've decided to swap this bar out for a larger 36-inch bar, as that will give me more power, and I'm sticking with a large rubber tip. As always, I need to warm the panel up before pushing, and then I can slip the bar up underneath. As you can see, the metal is moving, but it's certainly putting up quite a good fight and not moving as easily and cleanly as I'd hoped. This just means there'll be a lot more cleaning up to do at the end of the repair, which is fine. Now you can see I'm using my plastic bullet tip to tap down some of these high areas on the surface of the panel. I'm also using my standard rubber tip to address some of the more gradual high areas. This action of lifting and tapping down the metal allows the metal to move more freely and can be manipulated more easily. Interestingly, as the main part of the damage was pushed up, it left behind this second crease along the body line, which you can see here. To remove this crease, I need to use a lot of force, so I need to heat the panel up first to keep it flexible. Putting the bar underneath the panel, you can see that I'm concentrating on pushing up the bodyline section, which starts to move and raise up, bringing some of the surrounding metal with it. Now this section has come up nicely, I can get to work on tapping down the crown just above the wheel arch profile. As you can see, I'm using my knockdown with a standard rubber tip. I'm taking my time with this knockdown to bring the crown down gently and gradually. Now I just want to concentrate on the area between where these two creases were, as there were some high areas in this section. So again, using my rubber tips on my knockdown, I can get to work on trying to get this section of metal level and nice and straight again. And there we go. I'm really pleased with the progress so far. Considering I've only roughed this section out, you can see that this flat section of panel is starting to level up nicely. Looking down from the top of the panel, the next section I'm going to concentrate on are these two crowns here. First I need to get my light board into the best position so I can get the best view of them, and then I can set to work removing them. I'm using my knockdown here with the rubber tip, as I like to get close to the panel and feel the vibration and feedback from the metal, as it helps me decide how much force I need to give it in order for it to move. That's the first high ridge tap down. Now time to concentrate on the second one above it. I'm using the same knockdown and I'm taking my time to knock this high ridge back down gently, as I don't want to put any low spots in this panel, as that will create more work at the end of the repair. And there we go. I'm probably about halfway into this repair now, so there's still a long way to go, but already it's shaping up quite nicely.
So most of you know I love to learn new things and always like to increase my knowledge in many different subject areas, which over the years has saved me valuable time and money. For example, in my case, being able to edit video and add graphic design elements to show you what I'm repairing. And also, for example, how to use 3D design to create some of my own products. Well, if you are passionate about learning and want access to a great platform with classes in a variety of different subject areas, well, then I can fully recommend Skillshare. It's a huge online community of creative and curious people exactly like me, where you can pretty much learn anything that you want. The great thing about Skillshare is that you can learn at your own pace, and all their courses are ad-free, so you can always remain focused and in the zone when learning something that really interests you. I'm currently working through this course on iPhone filmmaking by Caleb Babcock and Niles Gray, who teach you how to make impressive videos from just using your iPhone, which has really helped me level up my filmmaking, because when I'm filming jobs like this one outside someone's house, you can't really bring a huge production filming kit, so knowing how to get the best out of your iPhone is going to help you make more professional looking videos. So if you want to make 2022 a year of new learning and discovery and want to increase your knowledge in maybe video editing, graphic design, creating your own visual effects, filmmaking, photography, or anything else, I can highly recommend Skillshare. They have everything you need to take your learning to the next level. To sign up, simply use the link at the top of my description. The first 1,000 people to use this link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Right, now let's get back to this repair.
Right, the next stage to this repair is to remove this horizontal crease just over the top of the wheel arch. First I want to check under the bonnet or the hood to see if I can get any access to this dent from above, as it's a much better angle to work from in order to be more accurate when removing this crease. And luckily there is a nice access point here that I should be able to thread my bar down into. The bar of choice for this repair is this straight bendable bar from Ultra, and to start with I'm going to be using a standard rubber tip. To prevent any damage from the bar going through this gap, I'm placing one of my soft cloths around this hole, which will give me a nice soft base to push off. Next I need to heat this crease to soften the paint, as pushing a crease cold is likely to crack the paint. Using this straight bar, I'm able to give some controlled pushes onto the back of this crease, and slowly you can see the crease starting to disappear before your eyes. Working from this standing position also really helps me with great vision, which is important with a crease like this, as you need to be very accurate with your pushes. Using my knockdown with a rubber tip, I can lower any sections that have come up too high. I could then go in with a straight bar again for a second round of pushes to bring up any other remaining low sections. So far this crease has been quite nice to push up, and the metal is flowing back into shape nicely. Now just a few more taps with my sharper plastic tip brings down any sharp high sections. A quick review of the whole panel shows that it's all starting to come together nicely. We just have some minor high and low spots on the panel. Next it's time to fine tune the whole repair. To start the fine tuning stage, I'm going to be using my plastic bullet tip. First I need to heat up all the little micro-lows, especially when you're using finer tips on your bar, as the pressure on the panel is greater and in a much smaller area. As you can see, one by one I'm choosing a specific microlow and pushing it up before moving on to the next one. This requires a lot of patience and a good eye for detail. Then for all the little micro highs, I'm using a hard Delrin tap down, which is a great tool for all the sharp highs. I'm also using a variety of different tap downs as the panels start to level out and the micro lows start to disappear. Next, I'm using a double bend shave tool with a smaller tip. This will help me to lift up some of these micro lows as this bar has good leverage and is very strong but light to use. These micro lows aren't too small, so I don't need anything sharper than this. Like before, I'm using my hard tap down to remove the sharpest of the micro highs. And there we go, the repair is almost completed. Time now to remove any surface marks and minor scratches from the panel that were created when this damage happened. I'm also polishing the panel to remove any minor marks created from using my tools on the panel, which will only be very minor surface marks. This last compound here is a fine polish, which is also great for putting a nice glossy finish back on the panel. The last thing to do is to put everything back together, so after raising the vehicle and clipping the wing liner back into place, I reinstall all the torque screws that were removed earlier inside the wheel arch housing. Then the only thing left to do is to lower the vehicle back to the ground, remove the jack and check out the final result.
Well, there you go, another repair successfully carried out using the paintless dent removal method. As always, I broke this repair down into the different stages, from the initial roughing out to the removing of the crowns, the creases, and right down to the fine detail work, which in this case took about 50% of the total repair time. It was quite strong metal to move, and initially it didn't seem like it was happy to flow back into shape, but after a lot of gentle persuasion with the right tools and using the right tips, I managed to force the metal back into shape and get this panel looking brand new again. The customer was really happy with the result, but understandably doesn't really want to see me again in a hurry, so let's hope he stays dent free. As always, if you like the video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed and you like watching content like this, then why not hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when a new video is uploaded. Also, there's lots of other videos like this on my YouTube channel, so please feel free to check out one of those, or maybe watch one of the suggested videos at the end of this one. But that's all for now, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.